It might sound odd, but
I love on.
yeah, I love odd. Nightmare. Awful idea. Like never like who made that? When I'm on stage, I just go blank. Constantly kind of pressure that this is something that is like in right now, and this is definitely not. But you like this so much. The songs will not be fully completed when when you haven't reshared with another person. I'm just there to kind of conduct or just stage manage the entire thing. Whoever plays that board game, I'm gonna be in your house and I'm gonna be beating you guys.
Once and always.
Hello everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to another episode of Once and Always a Fanboy. Today's guest is a singer-songwriter whose music has been making waves in the indie pop world. Her sound blends emotion, experimentation, and storytelling in a way that really stands out. With her new EP or just released, it felt like the perfect time to sit down and talk about her journey, her creative process, and everything that's led her here. Fangirls and fanboys, Ena Mori!
Hey!
Kunyari, maraming tao dito sa studio.
The sound effects.
Oh my
The
God.
crowd.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes wild. Hello!
Welcome. I'm so happy
Thank
to
you so
finally
much.
meet you.
Yes.
Yes, because I mentioned a while ago, I'm friends with Audrey and I always see her like repost your performances and your music videos and your music. And of course, fans here in the studio are very happy that you're here today.
Shout out to our barista
Yes,
of the
Ivan.
day, Ivan.
So thank you for taking the time to come out and hang out in the morning.
Yes, thank you for having me in such an early time of the day.
Yes, but at least you have your coffee. You're good.
Yeah, and it feels like a meant to be connection because
Yes.
I've been in your life for how long?
Yeah, I forgot to mention
Unconsciously.
to Jai that when she emailed a few maybe weeks before that, Ivan was already saying, "Hey, why don't you invite Ena?" And I was in perfect timing talaga. From that
star has
to the
aligned.
email, the universe.
Yeah,
So awesome.
awesome.
So, with your new EP
Yes.
out, or it's now out in the world, I'm curious when you look at this EP as a whole, what part of yourself do you feel like listeners are meeting for the first time?
Ooh, I think the process of making this EP and how it correlates to my first EP that I released to kind of finish the whole double EP record. I would say this record is a little bit more personally, it's a little bit more straightforward in writing, and I think that it is something that I haven't really tried in my artistic style. I love metaphors a lot, and I think I've used a lot of metaphors to kind of convey messages that it made sense to me for Row, the EP before this, but for this EP, or I wanted to challenge myself for using words that just very literal and very straightforward that doesn't really hide away from maybe flowery this pretty words of metaphors, and it's just really direct, and I think that was a little bit challenging for me, but maybe it's a little bit of a different people will probably take it differently after listening to this portion of EP. Yeah.
So you mentioned a while ago that Or is based on a part of a board game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it came to be that way because, the whole point was for this Or, before even Or becoming its own body of work, I had a record called Row, ROE. And I wanted, at first, this Row and Or, these songs that I wrote, it was in just one big pile of just stuff that I just like kind of accumulated over the years. But I was trying my best to kind of separate them because it had a different type of voice that I'm using in writing as well. And I don't know, it just came to be when I was thinking of, oh my gosh, what's the second record it's gonna be like, you know? And I just landed on or because of the spelling of row and kind of like just changing it. But also I was playing this amazing board game that I take it too personally sometimes. It's called Settlers of Catan. You know, whoever plays that board game, I'm gonna be in your house and I'm gonna be beating you guys with that. But yeah, it's from there, yeah.
As I've been saying now, you have a really distinct sound that makes your music stand out. When you're creating though, how do you balance making something that feels personal for you and something you feel is unique while also making it something that connects to a wider audience then?
Ooh. It is a challenge to balance for a lot of artists in general, you know, how to kind of navigate that, you know, finding what you love and pursuing that, you know, while understanding that there's audiences that would follow you in your journey, you know. And, you know, I don't think I've cracked the code, like, you know, the entire code yet. But I think what works for me is that really sticking with what I think is cool, you know. And I think that whatever I think is dope, I'll just do it. And if it doesn't resonate with some of the artists or some of the audience, sorry, I'll bow it next time. Parang ganun na.
Parang the right audience will follow.
Yeah, I think the right audience will follow, and I think that people catch on to the authenticity of artists that when they think this is the coolest thing they've made, they will be curious to listen to it. And I think it's just how truthful I am with music. I want people to know that every time I release something, it is something that's coming from the heart and not from my mind, and not really, you know, from that analytics in a sense. And I think I don't know. I love that relationship with my audience that whenever I release my own song, it is something that I personally love it and I'm proud of it. Yeah, and I think I trust my audience and whoever that reaches through my music. They're very intelligent and they're very in tune to what's happening in the world and vice versa through music, you know. And I think that, you know, showing up truthfully and honest to my music, it's like my way of respecting my audience and my way of telling that I really trust whoever that would receive this music, and, you know, hopefully there might be a conversation or a change or something to move forward. Yeah.
Every artist has something that feels almost like a superpower. What do you think yours is? Like an instinct that just turns on automatically when you're in the zone, like a little spidey sense.
Over time, I think I've recognized that when I'm on stage, I just go blank. But it is something that is a good thing. You know, I've always had, you know, since when I was small, I've always had stage fright. I never liked speaking. And how do you call it? Like public speaking. Yeah, nightmare. Awful idea. Like never. Like who made that? You know what I mean? Like why do I have to speak? With a microphone? But anyway, yeah, because it's like nobody's listening. But anyway, I've always been a very awkward and not very, you know, good at speaking in a sense, and I've always. And I think that's what drawn me to music, because it was the most, I guess, accurate way for me to have conversations with myself and my to others, kind of sharing my music and what I'm listening to.
Yeah.
Those were the medium that I used to communicate with people deeply. And yeah, I think I don't know if it's a superpower now, but I think when I'm on stage, I just don't recognize myself. I just become just like one of the noise in the live show.
Yeah.
Like I just become transparent, almost like
Out of body experience.
yeah, and it's just it is like no longer human in my point of
Yeah.
view.
And it sort of, I guess, helps you get through the performance in a way, I guess.
Yeah, it really helps me get through the performance, and I'm just so focused on the people there, and it almost feels like I'm the audience sometimes, because it feels like I'm just I'm just here to kind of orchestrate whatever we
Yeah.
have right now, and like kind of shaping the vibes
This
and
little
all of these things.
organic communal experience of
Yeah.
music, listener, singer.
And I think that what makes the show great is really the people there. I really believe that. Like the more I do shows and the more I do, bigger shows with tons of people and smaller shows that are so intimate, it's really the people that are glued with the music that makes the show great. And I'm just there to kind of conduct or just stage manage the entire
love
thing,
it, love
yeah.
I heard before you talked about your music as a way of discovering yourself.
Yeah.
What's a belief you used to have about your artistry that you've since let go because it no longer feels true?
It might sound odd, but
I love odd.
yeah, I love odd. It might sound odd, but I've always, when I was starting out with writing music, my motivation for writing was always, how can I give the best statement, or how can I find a way to say something that would help people.
Okay.
So it was always in that angle, but I don't know why. Maybe this year or since last year, anything that I have in my thoughts that are true should be written, rather than me trying to write a help
Have
slogan.
something to say. That
Yeah.
Trying to inspire. Parang that's not the North Star anymore.
Yeah, my North Star is no longer how am I going to give a helping hand slogan in my song, and instead, how can I be as raw and truthful as possible? Because I felt that in many songs that I listen to, or many artists that I listen to, they sing about really horrible things and horrible things that maybe it's really personal, very personal to them, but it doesn't really have anything to solve with,
Yes.
And I think that there's beauty in that, because when you're listening to it, you take it as an audience, you just take it personally and figure out their own way of the answers of
Yes.
what you want. And lately, nothing wrong with,
for
nothing
sure.
wrong with encouraging messages, but that was my North Star before, when I was starting out, writing music, because I've always wanted my songs to help people, because what's the use if I can't? But nowadays I'm so open to just be raw and just reckless and clueless at times when I'm writing, so that maybe it will reach to somebody that feels clueless,
Yeah.
and maybe they could figure their own, answer to it. And so that's kind of like my belief shift.
So since my show is called Once and Always a Fanboy, I'm very curious, what are you currently fangirling over at this moment? Are you binge watching anything? Are you a reader? Do you collect stuff?
Yeah, all of the above. I think.
Currently.
Ooh, what's been a hit? Actually, you know what? I've been a fanboy fangirl of of Patti Smith. She's an artist, a writer. She does many things. She does painting sometimes. She's an activist as well. And I've been slowly accumulating her books and accumulating as like a hobby, not reading the entire thing, but accumulating,
Okay.
just buying.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So shopping. Yeah, shopping.
Supporting,
Yeah,
supporting,
supporting.
supporting,
Yeah,
supporting,
supporting. And yeah. But her books has been my favorite to accumulate. Yeah, to hoard.
Okay.
And what else actually? You know what? I haven't really streamed in a long time. I heard about Heated Rivalry. A lot of women in my life has been
I'm sure.
requesting me to check it out. I haven't committed to that yet. But what else? Actually, you know what? It might be kind of a funny thing, but I've been accumulating a lot of like Muji pens.
I love Muji pens. Those are my pens.
Those are the best.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of engineering took place, but they're the most
Yeah.
like sturdy, the most consistent. They have the best colors on the notebook that are kind of like not as pale as like usual notebooks. Yeah, so I've been accumulating a lot of
So
like
you're right.
stationery.
You like writing stuff instead of like,
Yeah, I love writing stuff. I feel
like pen and paper pa rin.
yeah, pen and paper, because I just don't like, if I don't write it physically, it never happened. Like it never just crossed my mind. Or maybe I've always learned something or remembered something when I write down. So if I don't write it down, like for example, my schedule and stuff like that, it will never happen. Yeah, so I just have to always write. And I love journaling as well, with the pens. Thank you, Muji. But yeah.
So I'm also curious, no, if you listen to the similar type of music that you create. Like for example, me,
Yeah.
when I want to make music years ago, it will always come out. It will always sound like 90s, 2000s alternative rock. Pero I love listening to K-pop. Like K-pop has been for years on my Spotify all the time.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
curious if it's like that with you. Like, is it the same as the your genre, or do you kind of like changing it up for listening for fun?
Oh, I love listening to a bunch of stuff. And I think that I take pride in that, honestly, that I love listening to many things. Of course, within my, I guess, area of genre,
Yeah.
of course, I'd love to listen to it because I'm a fan of. But I love listening to classical music. I've grew up with classical,
okay.
so it's nostalgic to me. I listen to a lot of Debussy's album EP, Mozart's latest single. No, I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's in the
love
top
to
charts now.
Yeah,
these
it's in the
days,
top charts. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So love it. Love the record. Need it on vinyl. But anyway, so I love listening to classical music. I love listening to a lot of alternative rock. I love listening to right now I'm listening to a lot of grunge yeah, like a lot of grunge bands. I love listening to a lot of late 80s to 90s women rock stars, to name a few. Like I love, if it's 80s, I love Cocteau Twins. Like I love listening to Cocteau Twins. The Cure sometimes when I'm cooking. Yeah, and just a lot of
Wow, a lot.
stuff.
You listen to
I love Joni Mitchell,
okay.
folk. Yeah, I love Bob Dylan. I think, as artists that's actively writing music, it's such an important part of, I guess, collecting what I like about, other other interpretation of music, I think. And it's so important for me to actively listen to many genres. Yeah.
So like speaking of like creating and working on music, how do you recognize the moment where a song is truly finished instead of just reaching the point where you've spent enough time on it?
Ooh, yeah. And I think that this is a struggle for a lot of artists too, and me included. Shout out to Tim for my producer, and we always go through this process of like finalizing, and the file will probably be named as something something final one, final demo 1 2, or like it's just like it just continues.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have like a lot of final records, but anyway. I think I come to realize that when it comes to my way of finishing the record, or kind of, being contented with the record, is really it's not really my decision. Whenever I listen to the song and I feel like, oh, okay, this is beyond me, and it's no longer in my control anymore. That's when I know that, okay, this song is something I could release. And that might sound a little woo-woo, but it's a little but
No, but I get it.
Yeah.
Like when it's like I have nothing else. It's like it has
It's-
grown.
yeah.
It has grown to an entity that I have no control
Like a little
over.
baby. And I think it's kind of like, like you were simmering and, making, every single meticulous things in the record. And when I listen back and when I know that, okay, this is an entity that it breathes and moves without my control anymore. It is something that I don't need to be there. And I guess also when I listen to it and when I'm just really moved, and that might sound a little cheesy, but it really is when I feel moved that okay, this is already
It's ready.
really great.
It's
Yeah,
ready for
yeah, it's ready.
the world.
And at the end of the day, the songs will not be fully completed when you haven't really shared with another person.
yeah.
And I think that that's kind of the cherry on top. That okay, that's great.
Your music reveals a lot about you. Like you kind of get what they're about through the music that they
Yeah.
release. But I'm curious also. I'm sure people make assumptions with your music, your sound. What's something listeners think they know about you that isn't actually true?
Ooh.
Or wala naman. They really
Maybe.
get you.
No, you know what? I think maybe people, assume that I have such like a creative life, like like something out of I live in a really cute cottage, and and I think a lot of people
They think that you're walking
assume-
on rainbows and
Yeah,
stuff.
I walk on rainbows, which I love to.
Yeah.
I would definitely do that in my free time. But yeah, I'm just really incredibly normal. Like it's just really, I like probably the same things as a lot of people do. I don't know. I think a lot of people assume that I might have a more colorful life than I am having right now, but it's pretty normal.
You've had the chance to watch your growth as an artist over the years. What's something you're able to handle now, either emotionally or professionally, that might have been much harder for you earlier in your career?
It's cheesy, but really sticking with what I like. I think it's so hard, and it is something that I myself too, like it's something that is so hard for a lot of artists, and I think that's something that scares us, especially with social media, because it's gonna be everywhere, and you're constantly kind of pressure that this is something that is like in right now, and this is definitely not, but you like this so much. And especially with how creatives are nowadays, where we constantly have to kind of find aid through our creative output financially sometimes, and you know in other ways as well. But I understand the struggle of not being able to stick with what you like and kind of conforming with what people would probably get more art of, or people would like, basically. But yeah, really sticking with being stern about what I like and what I think is cool is so hard. And yeah, I think I've gotten better over the years. And I think it took me a lot of practice and a lot of trust in myself and to my audience that, whatever I do, I'll just make sure it's truthful and it's honest. Yeah.
Looking back, what's been the most quiet but pivotal moment in your career so far?
Oh, I have one. Recently, I did a show and for, I think, for Coke Studio, in one of the provinces that I went and performed. And then I received a letter from one of my fans that came to the show all the way. And I went back to my hotel and really reading her letter, really long letter, and so thoughtful, and just really her explaining how much the music really meant for her, and helped her a lot with many of her life struggles. And those are really private times that I get to cherish. And those are the times I feel like, oh, okay, I'm doing something good, or I'm in the right direction. Because many of the time, and I think for a lot of artists as well, there's so many moments that we doubt ourselves, and doubt, am I, ito ba talaga yun? Like it's so hard to find that sign, or I guess opportunity to really look back and be like, oh, okay, I'm in the right place right now. It's such a brutal industry, music industry is such a, like, it's getting more and more competitive and more digitalized, and analytics and all of these things. And you have this tangible letter that I don't know where it came from, and I have never met her before, but I've received that letter. And when I read that alone, it just made me so contented and happy that I will never probably feel from a charted hit. Yeah.
Very beautiful. So that's it, Anna. You have survived.
I have survived.
The once and always a fanboy journey. So before we end, if you'd like to share final words to your supporters, your fans, you can just talk straight to the camera over there.
Yes, if you're watching this, I will not be here anymore. I'm just kidding. No. It feels like that every time I do this. But I just wanted to say to all my listeners and all my new fans, my old fans, my in-between fans, just thank you for listening to my music. Thank you for listening to music in general, and supporting a lot of local artists, and just, artists in general. We need your support. And I'm so thankful and just glad to be in the position where I could connect with you through music. And I have an EP out called Or. It's a 6-track EP. It's a dancey EP as well. So it'll be perfect for your commute with your taxi, or even in your shower room. Yeah, so I hope you guys will check it out. And yeah. Love you guys.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm
Thank
so
you
glad
so
we
much.
finally got. No, actually, the universe made this happen. So thank you, universe.
Thank you, universe. Thank you, the stars, for aligning.
Once and always.